The city market was alive with voices, the scent of fresh bread mingling with exotic spices from distant lands. I navigated through the crowd with practiced ease, my mind focused on the mundane task of grocery shopping. That's when I saw her, or at least, I thought I did, Miyuki Tanaka. My childhood friend from 15 years ago. My breath caught in my throat. The profile was unmistakable, the delicate curve of her jaw, the way she tilted her head when examining something closely. But something was different. Very different. Her black hair cascaded down her back with an almost liquid quality, catching the afternoon light in ways that seemed impossible. Even from a distance, I could see an ethereal luminescence emanating from her skin, like moonlight trapped beneath porcelain. When she reached for a piece of fruit, her movements were fluid yet calculated, as if every gesture had been choreographed by some invisible force. Miyuki? The name escaped my lips before I could stop myself. She turned, and I nearly stumbled backward. Her eyes, once a warm brown, now held flecks of silver that seemed to swirl like galaxies. They fixed on me with an intensity that made my heart hammer against my ribs. Recognition flickered across her face, followed by something I couldn't quite identify. Fear? Resignation? Hope? Kenji, she whispered, and hearing my name from her lips after all these years sent a shiver down my spine. We stood frozen in the bustling market, two strangers who used to know everything about each other. I remembered the girl who would climb trees with scraped knees, who laughed so hard milk would come out her nose, who cried on my shoulder when her cat died. This woman before me looked like Miyuki, sounded like her, but something fundamental had shifted. Can we talk? I managed to ask. Maybe somewhere quieter? She hesitated, her fingers absently tracing the pendant hanging around her neck, a strange crystalline object I'd never seen before. Finally, she nodded. My apartment isn't far. But Kenji, you need to understand, I'm not the girl you remember. I can see that, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. What happened to you? Everything, she said simply, then began walking through the crowd. I followed, my mind racing with questions. As we moved through the streets, I noticed how people unconsciously gave her space, as if sensing something otherworldly about her presence. Dogs whined when she passed. Street lights flickered. The temperature seemed to drop slightly in her wake. By the time we reached her building, a modern apartment complex with reflective windows, my curiosity had transformed into something deeper. This was Miyuki, my first crush, my confidant, my friend who had disappeared without explanation all those years ago. Whatever she had become, I needed to know. I needed to understand if any part of the girl I loved still existed within this extraordinary being walking beside me. Miyuki's apartment was minimalist, almost sterile. White walls, simple furniture, and strangely, no mirrors. The only personal touch was a photograph on the windowsill, the two of us as children, grinning with missing teeth, arms slung around each other's shoulders. Seeing it made my chest tighten. Coffee, she offered, her voice carrying a melodic quality that hadn't been there before. Sure, I replied, settling onto the couch. Though I'm more interested in answers than caffeine. She smiled faintly, preparing 2 cups with movements that were beautiful yet unsettling in their precision. When she sat beside me, I noticed her skin seemed to glow brighter in the dimming light, casting soft shadows across her features. 3 years ago, she began, her silver-flecked eyes distant. I was working as a research assistant at a biotech firm. We were studying cellular regeneration, trying to cure degenerative diseases. There was an accident, an explosion in the lab. I should have died, Kenji. I was exposed to experimental nanomaterial designed to rewrite DNA at the molecular level. I set down my untouched coffee, unable to look away from her. But you survived. I did more than survive. I transformed. She held up her hand, and I watched in fascination as the skin seemed to shimmer, patterns of light dancing beneath the surface like circuit boards made of starlight. The nanomaterial integrated with my cells, restructured my entire biology. I'm faster, stronger, my senses are heightened beyond human capacity. I can process information at incredible speeds. I don't age anymore, at least, not visibly. That's incredible, I breathed. But why disappear? Why not reach out? Her expression darkened. Because I'm not safe to be around. The corporation that created the nanomaterial wants me back, wants to study me, weaponize what happened. And there are others like me, Kenji. Others who weren't as lucky with their transformations. Some became violent, unstable. I isolated myself to protect everyone I cared about. Including you. The weight of her words settled between us. I reached out instinctively, placing my hand over hers. Her skin was warm, almost feverishly so, and I felt a subtle vibration beneath my palm, like touching a live wire. I thought about you constantly, she admitted, her voice breaking slightly. Wondered if you were happy, if you found someone, if you ever thought about that summer before we moved when we almost kissed, I finished, the memory flooding back with unexpected intensity. We'd been 16, sitting by the river, the tension between us electric and terrifying and wonderful. Yes, she whispered. The air between us crackled with unresolved history and new possibilities. I moved closer, drawn by something beyond logic or reason. Miyuki, whatever you've become, I see you. The real you. The girl who shared her lunch with me when I forgot mine. Who defended me from bullies. Who made me promise we'd find each other again someday. Her breath hitched. Kenji, I could hurt you. I don't always have complete control. I don't care, I interrupted, cupping her luminescent face in my hands. Show me. Our lips met with an intensity that felt both familiar and entirely new. Miyuki kissed with desperate hunger, as if she'd been starving for human connection, for touch, for something to remind her of who she used to be. I responded with equal fervor, my hands tangling in her impossibly soft hair, feeling the strange warmth radiating from her transformed body. She pulled back suddenly, eyes wide with concern. Did I hurt you? I laughed breathlessly. The opposite. I kissed her again, gentler this time, exploring the contours of her mouth, the way she still made that small sound of pleasure when I touched the sensitive spot behind her ear. Some things hadn't changed. I've imagined this for 15 years, she confessed against my neck, her lips trailing fire down my throat. But I never thought, after everything that happened, I never thought you'd still want me. Want you? I pulled her fully onto my lap, feeling the supernatural strength in her lithe frame. Miyuki, I've compared every woman I've met to you. No one ever measured up. Her silver eyes glistened with tears that reflected light like diamonds. I'm not human anymore, Kenji. Not really. Sometimes I forget what it felt like to be normal. Then let me remind you, I murmured, slowly unbuttoning her shirt with trembling fingers. She caught my wrists, not roughly but with inhuman speed. If we do this, you need to know everything is more intense for me now. Every sensation, every emotion. It can be overwhelming. Good, I said firmly. Because I want all of you. Every transformed, extraordinary part. Something shifted in her expression, vulnerability giving way to raw desire. She stood gracefully, extending her hand. My bedroom. I have special reinforced furniture there. I've broken things before when I lost control. The admission should have frightened me. Instead, it sent a thrill down my spine. I followed her through the apartment, my heart pounding with anticipation and something deeper, the recognition that this moment would change everything between us. Her bedroom was dimly lit, the bed frame clearly custom-made with some kind of reinforced metal. She turned to face me, slowly removing her shirt to reveal skin that seemed to pulse with internal light, creating patterns that shifted like aurora borealis across her shoulders and down her spine. You're beautiful, I said honestly. Different, yes. But still the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. She approached me with predatory grace, her fingers working at my clothes with efficiency that spoke to her enhanced abilities. I'll try to be gentle, she promised, though her eyes burned with barely contained intensity. Don't, I challenged, drawing her close. I can handle you, Miyuki. All of you. What followed was unlike anything I'd experienced. Her touch was electric, literally. Small sparks of bioelectric energy danced across my skin wherever she touched, sending waves of pleasure that bordered on unbearable. She moved with supernatural precision, knowing exactly where and how to touch me, her enhanced senses reading every minute reaction of my body. I surrendered to the experience, to her, feeling the last walls between us crumble. This wasn't just physical, it was recognition, reunion, the culmination of 15 years of longing and what-ifs finally resolving into breathtaking reality. We lay tangled together in her reinforced bed, my skin still tingling from her bioelectric touch. Miyuki traced patterns on my chest, her luminescent fingers leaving temporary trails of light that faded like phosphorescence in the dark. I broke a bed once, she admitted quietly. With someone I tried to be with after the transformation. He was terrified. Called me a monster. I tightened my arms around her, feeling the inhuman warmth of her body against mine. Then he was an idiot. This, I gestured to the fading light patterns on my skin, this is amazing. You're amazing. She propped herself up on one elbow, silver eyes searching my face. You really mean that? You're not afraid. Should I be? I asked, genuinely curious. Probably, she said with dark humor. The corporation that created the nanomaterial has been tracking enhanced individuals. There've been attempted kidnappings, research facilities that are basically prisons. I've had to relocate 4 times in 3 years. Anyone close to me becomes a target. The weight of her revelation settled over us. Is that why you've been alone? Partially. Also because. She hesitated, vulnerability flickering across her features, because I was terrified. Of hurting people. Of losing control. Of forgetting what it means to be human. Physical intimacy is dangerous when you can accidentally crush someone's ribs or discharge enough bioelectricity to stop their heart. I captured her glowing hand, pressing it against my chest where my heart beat steady and strong. But you didn't. You controlled yourself perfectly. Because it's you, she whispered. Because with you, I remember who I was. I remember Miyuki Tanaka who collected cicada shells and cried during sad movies and dreamed of becoming a veterinarian. Not just, this thing I've become. I pulled her down for a kiss, deep and reassuring. When we broke apart, I asked the question that had been burning in my mind. What do you want, Miyuki? Not what you think is safe or right, what do you actually want? She was quiet for a long moment, her body warm and perfect against mine. I want to stop running. I want to be with someone who sees me as more than a science experiment or a threat. I want. Her voice broke slightly, I want what we might have had if none of this had happened. Then we'll figure it out, I declared with more confidence than I felt. The corporation, the danger, all of it. We'll figure it out together. Kenji, you don't understand what you're signing up for. These people are powerful. I don't care, I interrupted. I lost you once. I'm not losing you again. Something shifted in her expression, hope mixed with fear mixed with desperate longing. She kissed me again, and this time there was nothing gentle about it. Her enhanced strength was evident as she pulled me on top of her, her movements urgent and hungry, as if trying to anchor herself to humanity through our connection. I matched her intensity, marveling at how her body responded, the way her skin glowed brighter with arousal, how small arcs of electricity danced between us at the peaks of pleasure, how she whispered my name like a prayer or a plea. Afterward, as dawn began filtering through the windows, I realized the full magnitude of what I'd committed to. But looking at Miyuki, extraordinary, damaged, hopeful Miyuki, I knew I'd make the same choice again. What happens now? She asked softly. I kissed her forehead, tasting ozone and something sweeter. Now we stop hiding. We face whatever comes. Together. The morning light revealed details I'd missed in the darkness, the subtle scars on Miyuki's shoulders where the nanomaterial had first entered her body, the way her hair seemed to absorb and refract light simultaneously, the faint circuit-like patterns that occasionally flickered beneath her skin. You're staring, she observed, though she didn't sound displeased. Can you blame me? You're literally glowing. She laughed, a genuine, unguarded sound that reminded me of the girl I'd known. It's worse when I'm emotional. Happy, sad, angry, the bioluminescence responds to everything. I traced one of the circuit patterns on her shoulder, watching it brighten under my touch. Show me everything. I want to know all of it. What followed was part confession, part demonstration. She showed me how she could move faster than my eyes could track, how she could lift furniture that should have been impossible, how her mind could process complex calculations in seconds. But she also showed me her vulnerabilities, the constant low-level pain from her restructured nervous system, the nightmares of the accident, the loneliness of being something beyond human categorization. There are others, she revealed as we shared breakfast. Enhanced individuals who formed a network. Some are trying to find a cure, others embrace what they become. A few are trying to take down the corporations responsible. I've stayed on the periphery, not committing to any group. Why? I asked, though I suspected I knew the answer. Because getting involved means acknowledging what I am. It means giving up on the possibility of a normal life. She met my gaze. But maybe normal was never what I needed. Maybe I just needed someone who could accept all of me. The doorbell interrupted us. Miyuki's entire demeanor changed, her body tensed, eyes flashing dangerously bright. I'm not expecting anyone. She moved to a hidden panel in the wall, revealing a screen showing her building's entrance. 3 men in dark suits stood at the lobby door. Even through the low-resolution image, I could see they weren't there for a friendly visit. Them? I asked. Corporation security. They must have tracked me somehow. Her voice was eerily calm. Kenji, you need to leave. Now. If they connect you to me. No. I stood, moving beside her. We do this together, remember? She turned to me, conflict written across her luminescent features. You could get hurt. Arrested. Disappeared into one of their facilities. So could you, I countered. And I'm not letting that happen. For a moment, I saw genuine fear in her eyes, not of the men downstairs, but of what my involvement might cost. Then something else took over to determination, resolve, and something wilder. All right, she said quietly. But we do this my way. Can you follow my lead without question? Yes. She moved with inhuman speed, pulling on clothes and gathering items I couldn't identify. There's an underground parking garage 2 blocks from here. Other enhanced individuals use it as a meeting point. We get there, we have options. Run? Regroup, she corrected. I'm done running. But I'm also done facing these people alone. As alarms began blaring in her building, Miyuki took my hand. Her grip was firm but careful, mindful of her strength. Last chance to walk away, Kenji. Your life will never be the same. I pulled her close, kissing her with all the certainty I felt. My life hasn't been the same since the day you disappeared. At least now we're together. She smiled, bright and fierce and entirely inhuman in the most beautiful way. Then hold on tight. And whatever happens next, remember, I'm still me. Still the girl who promised we'd find each other again. We burst through her apartment door together, Miyuki's enhanced senses guiding us through back corridors and emergency exits I would never have known existed. Behind us, I could hear shouting, heavy footsteps, the chaos of pursuit. But ahead of us was possibility, dangerous, uncertain, but ours to claim. I'd finally reunited with my childhood friend, and she wasn't who I expected. She was so much more. And I wouldn't trade this complicated, extraordinary reality for any safe, predictable alternative. The girl I'd loved had become something beyond imagination. And I'd chosen to transform with her, not physically, but in every way that mattered. Our reunion wasn't what I'd imagined, but it was exactly what we both needed. Together, we ran toward whatever came next, ready to face it as we'd always meant to, side by side, transformed by love and choice and the understanding that some bonds transcend even the boundaries between human and something more. The end.